So we're live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first author chat of the year on my channel, because Sarah's already done it on hers.
Aha! Firsties!
We actually have a topic for today, which is great. We figured it out like 5 minutes before going live, so should be wonderful. We're talking about marketing today, and we don't have a clear format about it, but we'll talk about what each of us does and share tips and answer each other's questions, I guess. And I hope you find that interesting. I can't promise that we won't go off on some tangent or another and talk about something completely not related to marketing, but if you've seen any of our chats, that's happening. So for those of you who are new here, my name is Alina, I'm an author, and these are my author friends, CJ, Sarah, and Trynda. And I've presented them in the order they appear on my screen. So I think that's fair.
That's fine.
So
I think you went alphabetical too.
Oh yeah, I did. That's so cool. Okay, so let's start with a basic that I like to get into. How many of you dread doing marketing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do lazy marketing, so it's hard to regret stuff that you barely do.
Okay, so this is something that I've honestly noticed in a lot of authors. They don't like the marketing aspect. And
I can see, yeah, that is definitely a thing, for sure.
Travis and I do conventions because he does gaming books, and so gaming books sell really well at conventions, so that makes sense. But like, I'll always go and I sit at the table and I've got my books, and people will be like, "What are your books about?" And I'm like, "They're scary." That's it. That's what I got. I'm so bad. So freaking bad. I can sell you someone else's shit all day.
Yeah.
My own stuff, that's where I have the problem.
Yeah, same thing. I'm better at selling other people's stuff than mine, but I'm learning when it comes to in-person stuff like conventions or author signing events or something like that. Yeah. But I think I'm way better at everything that I have to do online, like newsletters and social media promotions and posting on my website. I'm more comfortable with that.
Yeah.
But I've seen a lot of authors that have a problem with doing any kind of marketing. And they also live under the impression that if they go with a traditional publisher, they're going to do all the marketing for them.
Yeah, I know. That's so cute.
Oh, God. I used to think that once until I had my heart broken. I'm like, oh, that's not how that works? All right, well, I guess I'm doing this myself then.
I mean, they will do some marketing for you.
Yeah, but it's not true. Like people
and
think.
They make their platform available to you, but it's tiny, and they do focus on best-selling authors because those bring things back.
If you're lucky, let's say you're lucky enough to get into a publisher who has somebody who's number one on the bestseller list every time they publish. Why the hell would they spend their money marketing you?
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a business, right? You kind of got to remember that. Like, it's not
they wouldn't spend that money on you. That doesn't make any sense. You're not going to get any return on investment.
It's not a philanthropy.
Yeah, which works which doesn't always work in their favor, because from a point on, the big sellers market themselves and they could invest more time in the smaller authors, but they do that in bulk. Like, they do promos and promote a bunch of authors and give you space on their blogs or on their social media and stuff. But at the end of the day, you're in charge of your own author brand and author platform.
Right.
And the publisher, even if you have a great publisher who does the marketing for you, they will do it around your release. Like, let's say they do something for a cover reveal, something for a release day, and then if you have a promotion later on. But they won't do it consistently for you because they don't have the time. They have a bunch of authors.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing, is that these are not people who have one book that's their baby.
Yeah. They've got hundreds of books that they've got to sell.
Yeah,
exactly. So they've got 40 clients who they're trying to like make happy. and you've got one book that's really important to you, so you have to make that book really important to everyone else.
Yeah.
That's your role.
And another thing that I've noticed is that a lot of authors start marketing really late in the game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like they get their website and social media ready, like about when they're supposed to reveal their cover or announce their book or something like that, which is counterintuitive because if you want to market on your release, you should have people to market it to. So I mean, we've talked about this a bit when we were talking newsletters and hooks for readers and how to get them to sign up when you don't have a freebie to offer. Mm-hmm. But you always have a sample to offer. Like you can give the few first chapters, like 2 or 3 chapters.
Mm-hmm. And something, basically.
Yeah, I mean, and if they don't know you're writing enough to just sign up to your newsletter because they get 3 chapters, you can always just publish the first chapter or a part of it on your website. Mm-hmm. And then if they want more, they can get the newsletter.
Dreamer, stop.
Yeah, or a full short story. But the thing is, like, if you don't have something that's available for release in its full form, it's okay to go with samples. And by the way, they work well. They might not get as many subscribers as a full story, but they do get pre-orders. They sell. If they like the sample, they will pre-order the book. So.
Well, and I think another thing is that at least as far as U.S. advertising goes, Americans, like United States Americans, because obviously we're not the only Americans, and that's an irritant of my personal self.
Because Trynda's an American too.
Right,
yeah, I'm an American too,
US Americans have this culture of underdogness. So if you start before you have anything to sell, they actually like that. They like to see you struggle and then survive. Like that's really good for people because they enjoy to see that underdog doing it.
It's like watching a dog fight.
Right. Like, and that's
in a weird, gruesome way.
Especially with the whole American dream thing. The American dream is the underdog making it.
Yeah, that's totally a thing.
Right. So if your author platform is I'm the underdog, watch me make it, that actually can be very successful. So starting earlier, even if you're starting with like, I don't have any idea what the hell I'm doing, come watch me.
Right.
You know, that's probably going to work.
I started working on my author website and promoting myself as a future writer, future published author, about a year before releasing my first book. And by the time I released my first book, I did post 2 freebies, male-female pairing and the male-male pairing, both romances.
That's a neat idea.
Both playing on the concept of fallen angels, but not really. I mean, it was a different type of universe. And those did pretty well because I got people to like my Facebook page and subscribe to my website, but I didn't know exactly how to go about it. I did post quite frequently. I did post about books I was reading, passions of mine, and that was great. But I didn't know exactly how to grow my newsletter. I didn't know Insta-Freebie existed, for example.
Oh, I just found out about that a few months ago. That's been a huge boost to my mailing list, has been Insta-Freebie.
Yeah, no, for me this was 2013. I didn't know shit. Mm-hmm. So the thing is, I had a background in marketing and PR. So I knew it was important to get my website and everything started early and build some awareness. But when it came to book marketing, I wasn't an expert in it. So I did try a lot of things that I've seen others do it, like join book promotion groups and author groups and connect with bloggers and book reviewers and do blog tours. And those did okay because I remember on my release, on my debut release, I had like 40 blogs that signed up for my blog tour, which was pretty impressive for someone who was like, I just appeared out of nowhere. Hi.
Right.
This is my first book.
Like, surprise, it's Alina.
Yeah. And
Alina.
I did that for other authors too for a while. I did it for my publisher because my former publisher, this was a good thing they did. They offered a free blog tour for your first release with them.
Oh, that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
What is a blog tour?
A blog tour is like, think about it as going on tour with your book, like talking to people in certain places, but instead of doing it in bookstores, you do it on blogs that are about books. So some blogs will review your books, others you will write a guest post for, others they'll interview you, and others will just post a promotional post. Like they post about your release, maybe an excerpt, a giveaway if you're doing one, and that usually helps getting some traction. Because you can do like a raffle after giveaway, and you ask people to follow you on Twitter or like your author page or visit your website or something like that. It's more complicated to get them to sign up to your newsletter if you don't want to pay for a raffle counter, but it can be done. It can be done. It just has to be done manually a lot.
So I had another question. All right.
Go.
So I have a handful of short stories that are available for free on the platform that I sell on, which is changing right now because we're having some drama. If you want to know about that drama, you can go follow my husband because I'm sure he's going to talk about it plenty because he does all the publishing stuff.
We talked a bit about it,
yeah. So, yeah, if anyone else wants to find out about it, go ask Travis Legg what the hell's going on with our publisher. But I have 3 short stories that are up there on there for free. They don't do very well. Do you think that's because they're on the platform itself and that because I'm not sending them to other people, like because I'm not putting them in a newsletter or something like that? Do you think that is affecting that? I don't know what it is.
Okay. So
and I mean, some of it is that I'm at Drive Through Fiction right now and it's not terribly popular.
Yeah, that's not exactly popular, so it's harder to get people to see it. What I would do with your short stories, like if I was to change publisher now and I had these 3 short stories, what I would do is the following. One of them I'd use as a freebie, as a hook, to get people to sign up to my newsletter.
Okay.
You can get...
So like if you sign up, you get this story.
Exactly. And you can use Insta Freebie for it. The first month is free, so you can just test it out and then decide if it's worth the $20.
How much is it a month?
$20 per month.
Which I think that's pretty good, all things considered.
I mean, it's the same price as my video editing software, so I mean.
Yeah, no, for me, it's worth it because even if I don't join any group giveaways, I just leave a link to a giveaway that's not private on Insta Freebie. I get about 100 subscribers per month from there, which seeing how my newsletter is my biggest platform to sell books, it kind of works for me. I'm fine paying the $20.
I never realized people even read newsletters. Mine have regularly gone into a pile of stuff that I don't get to in my email.
Okay, let me tell you about that. I have tracking on my MailerLite dashboard for open rates and click rates. And I usually go and compare those with industry standards for media and publishing. So my average open rate is about 40%, which is higher than the industry average, I think, by
really good.
Almost double. And my click rate is about 14%, which is
so
3
really
times
you're expected to have like 20% of your people open them?
Yeah.
I find the people who are coming from Insta Freebie tend to open my emails more. I think because they're expecting things that they would actually be interested in.
Yeah. They have a high drop-off rate. Like a lot of them will unsubscribe. That's true.
But they do it really quickly usually, which is nice.
Yeah, usually they do it quickly. And the thing is, like, those 40%, it's rarely the same 40% every newsletter, which I found interesting because I always got about 35 to 45%. That's where I average. And it's usually
so a different
around
group
40.
of people opens their emails from one to the next.
Yes. Because then I went to search for people who never opened their emails and never clicked and have been inactive for like 3 months. And I've got 400 out of 2,500.
That's pretty good.
So clearly, a lot of them just rotate.
Right, like I'm not out of time this week, and then next week they do.
What I did now, and it actually increased my open rate and decreased my unsubscribe rate, was that I set up a sequence of emails for people who come from Insta Freebie. Like 2 hours after they claim the book on Insta Freebie, they get an email saying, okay, thanks for signing up. In case Insta Freebie messed up, here's the link to download the book.
Okay.
Because it happens. Sometimes you claim a book and it never arrives. It
I've
just
had that happen.
doesn't work. So I send that initial email. There are some who will unsubscribe the moment I send that email.
Yeah.
Okay. So 2 days later, I send a second email where I say something like, well, we met through Insta Freebie, so you've met my characters in my book. How about I tell you a bit about me? And I do that. I keep it rather short. And at the end, I have a banner with some of my books and the message something like, if you've already read the short story I've provided, here are some more books.
Okay.
Of course, there are people who will unsubscribe from that because it happens.
Because they got what they wanted, and that's all they want.
Yeah. And then about 5 days later, I think, or some number of days later, I don't remember it off the top of my head, I send a third email, which is titled, I have a favor to ask. And what I do is ask people to review the book if they read it.
That's a good idea.
If they haven't read it, I send them a reminder about the book. And yes, there are people who unsubscribe, but not many. And I've received emails from people telling me, oh, I haven't read it yet, but I will. Or other people, I've replied when I asked, look, if this bothers you, please let me know. I'm thinking a reminder helps. And it helps me out too, because people forget to just review the book.
Yeah.
And people have replied and said, no, that's super great because I tend to forget about the books. And then I can't find them because sometimes my Kindle saves them with a weird name.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So people were pretty okay. I've also had an email from someone saying, I never received the book. And they just passed through the welcome email from me telling them, this is the link. And I sent them a reply with a link to the book funnel thing where they can download the book. So far it's worked. I got quite a few reviews on the short story. I have the short story on Amazon for 99 cents.
Mm-hmm.
They can get it there. And this is a short story I can't put in Kindle Unlimited because it's already, it's still in an anthology from my publisher, which I have some issues with because, I mean, okay, it's their right. They bought the stories. They're supposed to be able to publish them. But my contract says something like if they go out of business or they cease activities for a while, all the rights return to me. And guess what? They no longer exist. You can't find their website. You can't find anything. Only their anthologies on Amazon and elsewhere. So it's a tricky situation. So I said, okay, I can't put that story into Kindle Unlimited.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I'll just use it like that.
Hopefully, you get the rights back to it soon.
It will be a while until that happens, but it's a short story that I don't care about as much.
Well,
I mean, I love it. I love it, but it will never make as much money if I put it in Kindle Unlimited. Right now, it's doing its best getting people to me, and it did actually get some sales, which is surprising. So I'm happy. I don't care about it in the sense of I don't think it will make me a lot of money. I do love the story because otherwise I wouldn't give it readers. I think it's engaging enough for them to want to read more. Mm-hmm. But I'm not that bothered. I don't want to go into a whole debate with my former publisher over this.
Right.
For that story. It's not worth my brain damage. So yeah, Sarah, back to your question. Like what I do now would be to put those in a collection of short stories, like all three, and put them on Amazon. Mm-hmm. And you can go wide if you want. I'm a fan of Kindle Unlimited, but that comes with some restriction. But
I don't think I'd like the Kindle Unlimited.
It's definitely something to look into. And it
makes money for me. Like for me, it makes money. The point for me was that most of my money from book sales came from Amazon anyway, like 90% of it. And the moment I went with Kindle Unlimited, my revenue from Amazon went super high. So,
okay.
Great.
Yeah, it's low. I know it's low, but for me it helps and it works quite nicely. Plus, I can do all the promotions, like I can do the free days for the books, which helped a lot last year because whenever I set the free day promotion, I went for the full 5 days. I would get some newsletter advertisements. I would do newsletter swaps with other authors, share it on social media, contact bloggers to ask them to share on their social media. And I got a lot of downloads, which put me into the top 5 free books in my category. Some got as high as number 1 for that period of 5 days. And a lot of people, because it's reflex or it's what they prefer, when they see the free book, they don't just download it, they just borrow it in Kindle Unlimited. And it actually makes me some money and gets me a lot of new readers, which is awesome. It's pretty great. So I can do that with Kindle Unlimited. And the only advertising I've done other than newsletter placements in very few newsletters that I've already tested and I know work was using Amazon's ads system. I've done that.
How do you find their ad system? Is it difficult?
It is and it isn't. What I would recommend, if any of you wants to try it, is go to kindlepreneur.com. They're the ones who make KDP Rocket, but you don't have to buy KDP Rocket if you don't want to. They have a course on AMS ads that is absolutely amazing. Mm-hmm. They explain how to choose the ads, how many keywords to have, how to monitor your campaigns and make sure they convert well and stuff like that. The thing that I don't like about Amazon's ad system is that they cannot track Kindle borrows, Kindle Unlimited borrows. They don't track those.
That seems weird.
It's weird. They can't. I mean, it just doesn't work like that. They track sales, but there's sometimes a delay in reporting. So you might think you paid for a lot of clicks without any revenue. And then when the campaign is over and it's 3 days later, you see, oh, actually I sold for like $10. So my ad converted well. And then when you check the Kindle Unlimited page reads, you see an increase. And I figured out it worked because I saw the page read increase for books that weren't doing much before I started doing the ads. Mm-hmm. So I could tweak them and monitor them and try to do the best I can. I think my biggest spending month was December, and I spent like $150.
This December?
This December. $150, and my revenue was $850. So not all of that came from ads, but the ads pretty much paid for themselves.
Yeah, right.
And made a bit of profit on the side. So I'm still working on that, on learning to convert it. But I'd rather tinker with that and invest in my newsletter and invest time in building my newsletter than doing blog tours. For example, I have nothing against book bloggers. I really have nothing against them. I love them all. If anyone wants review copies from me, I'm more than happy to provide them. But doing a blog tour takes so much time, especially if you do it yourself and you don't pay someone to do it. And it's hard to track conversion, really hard. And the money I'd spend on a blog tour, if I didn't want to do it, because it takes I did compute it at some point. For me, who was doing blog tours for a living pretty much, it took like between 20 to 30 hours per blog tour to do everything.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You have to send an invite. Like, this is how blog tours work. First, you have to decide on the dates. Then you have to invite blogs. And you have to do that at least a month in advance. I saw you, Sarah. This time I saw it. So you have to send the invite about a month in advance so that they have a spot for you. And then you have to create the tour kits and tour graphics. And if you signed up for interviews, you will answer a bunch of interview questions. If you signed up for guest blogs, you have to write all those guest posts. And then you have to promote each stop so that you can get most out of it.
When they give you blog posts to do they tell you, like, do they give you the number of words they want and things like that?
Some of them give you number of words, but it's usually around 300 words on average. But most of them will say, write about whatever you want, which is nice of them. But when you have to write 5, you run out of ideas fast. I know that when I was doing tours for other authors, I had a standard set of guest post ideas for them. They would give like, here's 7 of them. Pick whichever 5 you want, or find your own. Because people find it hard to write without a theme in mind. So I know most of the authors that I worked with, when I mentioned guest posts, they all went like, oh my God, not again, not this hell. Because, you run out of generic topics fast if you're doing more tours. So, it takes about 30 hours of your time to do a tour. And it takes a longer while to just track it and just chatting with everybody about it and giving each blogger what they need. It takes a bunch of time. And if I had to choose between that and working on my newsletter would win. Ideally, I'd have time for both, but that's not the case because it just takes too much time.
I didn't realize how much work went into a blog tour, but holy, that sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, that's why I never had like the lowest prices for tours. Like for a basic 1 to 2 weeks tour, I charged like $100 because it was 30 hours of my time. Like,
that's crazy.
And I did have a system where if they were a returning client, I would give them discounts. But and I had like packages for like cover reveals and then release day announcements and then the tour, which cost more, of course. But there was a lot of time and work that went into them. I rarely had any complaints from bloggers that they didn't receive something or that they needed something else and I couldn't provide it or something like that. I know from talking to bloggers, they were happy working with me, but it was getting so difficult and so competitive because there were blogs that had like 5 tours a day. Their reviewers were freaking swamped. And I felt like people were giving me that money and they could invest it in a different avenue, do it better, or work with a company that afforded lower prices because they had a standardized thing that they did.
Right.
And it made sense. Like I always had tour graphics specifically made for each book. I didn't have a template where I just stuck the book. It was done to match the book style and the book colors and stuff like that. So
a bit more personal.
Yeah, they were a bit more personal, and I was trying to just make sure everything went smoothly. So I thought, like, people out there do tours for the same price or slightly lower than me, and that's fine. I feel like I don't believe in blog tours as much, so I am not going to do them for myself as much. So I won't charge people for them. That was my approach.
So you charge the bloggers?
No, the author.
How do you?
I charge the author.
So if you have an author who contacts you about a blog tour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a whole page of services on my Eyes on Books blog, which now is private. You can't access it anymore because I'm not doing it anymore. And it was kind of difficult to just tell people, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm sorry, I don't have the time for it, and I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah.
You gotta have priorities, though.
Yeah, because these were people I've worked with on a lot of books and a lot of tours, and they were all happy with my results. I mean, they got a boost in visibility and sales and stuff like that. I just thought they could invest that in something else. Like instead of
like it worked for them, so they don't understand why you're not doing it anymore. But at the end of the day, it's not working for you.
Yeah, it wasn't working for me time-wise, and like instead of paying me, maybe just spend 2 months on Insta Freebie and get some newsletter subscriptions and get a nice newsletter strategy, and you'll probably sell just as much. It's fine to still contact bloggers and offer them review copies, but sometimes it's just not worth to put those 30 hours into it. I mean, I still do that. I do announce bloggers once in a while that I have a new release coming up, or these are the books that are available for review if anyone wants them. I do that because I think reviews from blog reviewers are important. But just going through the motions of a blog tour when you compete with like 5 different releases that happen in the same day, and it's all blog post after blog post about the new book being released, it's not as efficient.
Yeah.
As sometimes just people reviewing your book whenever they have time, even if it's later than your release, will do more than you doing a blog tour. I've had that happen, actually.
Okay.
So, of course, like I said, in an ideal world, you'll have time and funds to do them all.
Right.
I mean,
but that's in an ideal world.
At a certain point, if I'll ever hire a personal assistant, they'll probably do something like that. Although, I don't know. I mean, I found different avenues to promote myself that work better, like doing newsletter swaps. That works great. And with newsletter swaps, you say, like, I have this book that I'm releasing, and I'm going to find 3 more authors with books in my genre that want to cross-promote. And you tell your readers about their books, they tell their readers about your books. It generates visibility and sales, and it works better than anything. So, yeah.
I've heard of a few people trying that out.
Sorry?
I've heard of a few people trying that out. I haven't heard a whole lot of results in terms of how it went, but
for me,
I feel like authors are very uncomfortable with discussing their sales results as a general rule.
Well,
yeah.
Remember I told you about that group? I sent you a link to it, I think. The 20 books one?
Yes.
Yeah. People are a lot more open in that book to post about their results. And some of the results are freaking impressive and inspiring. Like I've seen 6-figure dashboards.
That's crazy.
Lots of them.
I can't even imagine making them.
Or making 10K in a month. I've seen that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm happy if I make like 30 cents in a month. I'll take what I can get.
Like
Short stories don't sell that great for me sometimes.
I'm really trying to be as transparent as I can about numbers without being in people's faces. So if people ask me what I made, I'm pretty open about it, and I'm open about what I invested as well. But honestly, when I was with my publisher, and I also had some indie titles that I didn't promote much, I made a certain amount in 2016. And this year, when I actually started working on my newsletter and doing newsletter swaps and focusing on marketing that worked for me, I tripled what I made the year before.
Wow.
And this was just me without the support of a publisher and their platform. So for me, newsletter swaps worked. Like right now, when I had this 99-cent promo, I had 2 newsletter swaps and 1 newsletter placement in a paid newsletter. And the newsletter swaps actually performed as well or even better than the paid newsletter placement for me.
Okay.
I guess because it's more like an actual endorsement from an author, I guess.
Than just an ad.
Yeah, or maybe just because there are fewer books mentioned in an author newsletter than in a paid one.
That would
because there will be like news about that author. Let's say they have a new release and the promo of their own that makes 2 books, and then they will feature 2 or 3 other authors. When in a newsletter you have 10 to 20 entries,
Yeah.
you're competing with. So, but they both work well, and definitely they work well than other avenues I tried.
How often do you put out a newsletter?
Huh. I used to put them out twice a month. I'm upping them at 3 times a month now because there's just so much going on. And I will probably get to a point where I have to send them weekly if I keep to my schedule. But once a month is decent. It's a decent amount of newsletters to send if you don't have a lot of releases and news. Sending a newsletter once a month is perfectly okay. It works well. And you can send excerpts or insider picks at what's coming up next. Like you're working on a new book and you can share a snippet. So yeah, you can do that.
Okay.
What is that?
Is it?
Oh.
Is it worth? Go ahead.
No, there was a pop-up and I didn't know what it is. So yeah, sorry, go.
So is it worth putting out a newsletter before you have anything to publish?
Mm-hmm.
What do you put in that newsletter then?
You can put excerpts of the books you're going to publish.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If you do world building or stuff, you could put that kind of stuff in there, like characters or something.
Yes.
Or short stories if you work on those.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people have done that.
And I mean, if you have a certain release date for a book, if you know when the book is going to be released, you can always use the pre-order link.
Because do you like cover reveals and stuff for it?
Yeah, I usually do a cover reveal and I announce it in the newsletter with the pre-order link. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that works. Like you can do excerpts, or if you want a hook to just get people to subscribe to your newsletter, you can do a free sample. And I've decided that whenever I do samples, I offer about 40% of my book, even half.
Oh wow.
Okay. It's fine. Mm-hmm. And people told me like, isn't that a lot? And I was like, yeah, so it's not like they can get the other half. Like if I give them 20% or 40% is the same thing. They still have to buy it to get the full story.
Yeah, well, at that point, you're kind of in the big swampy middle. So you're like, well, I have to find out what happens now.
Yes.
Right. I have to know how it ends.
Plus, if you look at Amazon samples, when they're the shorter ones, if you have stuff at the beginning of your book, like you have the copyright, you have the table of contents, maybe you have some acknowledgements when you're not too lazy to write them, which lately I've been it's not about me being lazy, it's about me being so last minute that I didn't have time to write the proper one. And I can't just write 2 lines, I have to go along with them because reasons. So yeah, when you get to the actual sample of the book, it's pretty limited. And sometimes that sample sounds really good, but then you read one more chapter and you don't like it anymore. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking if I offer 40% of it, they surely know if they like it or not.
Yeah.
They can't go, oh, I like the style until now, but then I didn't.
Right.
So that works for me.
I think I like giving more than just the first chapter. Because I feel like first chapters can be deceiving, and sometimes readers know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll catch on to your shit.
Well, and I can. Sorry. I can read the first chapter of a book and then never worry about it again.
Yeah.
Like I can do that. That doesn't bother me.
Yeah, well, and a lot of the times you're kind of doing setup in the first chapter, so it's like, all right. Cool.
Yeah.
On to the rest of the thing now.
But there's nothing interesting that just made me need to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, you have no connection with those characters at that point, unless it's like a sequel and you're like, oh, I wonder if it's going to be what I expect.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, this is quite interesting to me because I like to just jump into the action when I start books. So, with my first werewolf book, it starts when the main character, the protagonist, is dumped by his mates. he just wakes up and he remembers what happened and he's freaking devastated and he has to deal with that and he doesn't deal very well. And the whole story is about him finding life after that and falling in love again and pretty much surviving losing a mate, which for a werewolf should be devastating. And for some it is. And
a mate for life, right?
In theory, yes. That's the whole question, because my character pretty much tries to do a suicide by battle thing. He's also Japanese, I should mention. So to him, it makes sense.
That's a neat idea. I like it.
And the thing is, like, I dropped people in the middle of it, and everyone was like, I feel like this is a book too. Like, no, this is the situation he deals with. And they were like, oh, but he never knows why his mates dumped him. And I was like, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Sometimes you don't.
Yeah, sometimes you'll find out.
You don't know, and it's really, it doesn't matter anymore. They dumped you, right? They broke your heart. Exactly. Yeah. And
I have that in Hell's Bend. I have a character who just got dumped by his girlfriend, and the only times he mentions her is really him going, I mean, I knew I wasn't a great boyfriend, but I don't know why I'm single now. Like, like he's just like, yeah, I mean, I wasn't like boyfriend of the year, but
that's such a real feeling though.
This.
Yeah.
That's like, that's so relatable. It's like,
yeah, because even when they tell you, you don't necessarily believe it. So like, oh, it's just that I'm going through some personal stuff. Yeah, right. I'm an asshole and you hate me. Knock it off.
Yeah. Don't worry. It's not you. It's me.
No, it's me. I know.
So Jazz asked in the comments what we use to plot and plan. And for me, it's usually my head. Like the major outline is done in my head. I have to see it flowing. And then sometimes I use Trello for character sheets and for basic outlines. And I just write my chapter outline by hand on this nice little notebook, which I won't show much because it contains the plot for my last chapter of my book. So yeah, but I do it really basic, like 2-3 lines per chapter, and that's it. That's how I plot.
I do none of that at all.
No, because you're a total pantser.
I'm so bad. Like,
and
the thing is that here's what happened during Nano. And I think CJ might remember this. About 10 days into Nano, I figured out what was going to happen next and could not make myself write anymore.
That's
yeah.
So I had to decide not to let that happen next. Because as soon as I know what's going to happen next, I'm bored.
So you're like complete pants or...
Yeah.
And what's really interesting, and I will say this about Sarah's writing, what's really interesting is I cannot imagine writing like that, because when her stuff comes out, it comes out as a whole story. Like there are, like every draft.
You'll have things that you fall off and forget about.
Right. Like it's not like there aren't little holes here and there and things that need to be fixed.
Mm-hmm.
But the general story is all there. And like for me, that blows my mind, because I cannot think like that. Like I have to think about it.
That's how it comes to me too. Like there's a scene, and you haven't gotten there yet, CJ, but there's a scene in Hell's Bend where dude gets out of a car and the wind blows the car door shut. And I was like, I don't know why it's windy now, but it's windy now. Okay. And then 3 minutes later, in the story, I got to a point where I needed it to be windy.
Which is awesome.
But I didn't know that. Like, I don't consciously know that I'm doing things for... I'm sure somewhere in me I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, it might be a subconscious.
But I don't consciously know, like, when the wind blows his car door closed, I don't know it's because he's going to need it 3 minutes down the story. Like, it just doesn't even occur to me. I'm just like, oh, okay, it's windy now.
Yeah.
I tend to have, like, a...
And that just... I mean, like, that's just... that blows my mind.
I can't explain it.
Brain works like that.
Just one quick thing. I'm going to step out for exactly 30 seconds and be right back. So you just continue without me.
What were you saying, Trynda?
I tend to have like a really high level outline. I have a worksheet from NaNoWriMo in 2013, I think, from like Writer's Digest that I just go through and fill out really vaguely, and then I just kind of plants and fill out the rest as I go along. I find that works really well for me. Because I kind of fall in the same boat as you, Sarah, where it's like, if I know too much of what's going to happen, then I get bored. It takes the fun out of writing.
It's like I'm not interested in getting there because I already know what there is.
Yeah, exactly.
And see, to me, that's fascinating because when I need some sort of, if not chapter by chapter structure, at least like section by section kind of thing. Like I need to know that in these 3 chapters, these are the main things that are happening. It doesn't have to be like it's more the high level, what you were talking about, Trynda. It doesn't have to be like really detailed, but I have to have an end goal for each section. Otherwise, my characters just wander around doing dumbass shit.
Well, and see, here's the other thing that might blow your fucking mind. I don't put in chapters when I first write it.
Right.
I do page breaks and later decide where's a chapter and where's a section.
Yeah.
So I write a whole book with no chapters.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I kind of get a feel as I'm going where the natural chapter breaks should be. Kind of like, I ended on a cliffhanger. That doesn't go into the same scene, so this is probably a good place for a chapter. Right. And then I have guidelines, but then when I edit, it often always changes. Right. It's almost pointless to begin with.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll have sections that disappear entirely, so I really can't plan too much and like with Hellsbend, I did actually put in chapters as I went, and ended up with the last 2 chapters were each 90 pages. Well, yeah, except that all my other chapters are 18 to 22. So I can't have 2 90-page chapters at the end of the book. So it doesn't, because I don't plan at all, it doesn't split correctly if I do it that way. So I end up having to redo it anyway.
Yeah, that helped me a lot with the chapter outline I'm doing, because I used to have that problem. I used to have to go back and figure out how many words I've written and whether I was supposed to start a new chapter. And I do give myself some leeway, like 500 words plus minus, maybe even 1,000 if it's really needed for that chapter. But since I started doing this basic outline, I know about how many words I want there to be in a chapter, and I know where I should be as a number. So I can figure out if it's just getting too long or not.
I'm really resistant to making my decisions based on word counts in general.
Yeah, that could be a bad habit to get into.
Yeah, especially when you don't plan anything.
Yeah, but when it's planned and you know how long your scenes tend to be, for example, I mean, I can figure out if I put down 3 lines, I can figure out that about how much would go into a chapter. Then it's okay, but I never like
genre difference too.
Sorry?
It might be a genre difference too. It would be really hard in horror to like pull back a dramatic scene where there's like a fight going on. You know what I mean?
No, but I don't do that. If that happens,
and that's
if that happens, I just go longer. But
okay. So you're not like strictly stuck with your number of words.
I never am. I just take it like an average, like a rough average. And the way I plot my chapters is that when there's tension or big things happening, I like to end the chapter on a minor cliffhanger.
Yeah.
That works. So I tend to do that. But the problem is like otherwise, if I don't do this, I tend to get into the story and write, and then I'm like, oh, I've got 10,000 words in this one chapter. Yeah, that's not going to work.
Yeah, see, and I already insert section breaks. So there's already breaks. It's just a matter of me deciding which one's a chapter and which one's a section. I have sections that are as short as a sentence long. Like that's a thing I've done, is a 1 sentence long section.
Yeah, I don't think I ever had it that long, but I had a few paragraphs and then moved to a different section.
As far as sections go, my opinion on sections is whatever serves it.
Yeah, if you need a break because there's been some time lapse between scenes, then section break is fine.
Yeah.
My sister bought me grapefruit.
Oh, that's so nice. I hate grapefruit.
She went grocery shopping.
I love oranges and I like the pomelo ones, which are sweeter.
Yeah.
But give me grapefruit and no. And my mom loves them. My mom loves them, and
I can't eat grapefruit.
yeah, I know it's good for you, but I just can't eat it.
I'm literally not able to eat it because I have a medication that it causes to become ineffective.
Oh, okay.
Which is
there's
seems
a
like the
handful of
weirdest
medications
thing
that
ever.
grapefruit literally causes to become ineffective. It's really weird, and it's
grapefruit
specifically
is
grapefruit.
a magical fruit. It is a magical fruit.
I think
Wow.
the amount of
Right.
acid in it breaks down the medication in your bloodstream. I think is what
that
it
would
is.
make sense.
Well,
But there's
listen,
a
ladies.
handful of them.
I would love to stay, but I have to go to a funeral, so
You run along now.
I'm going to run along. But it has been incredibly fun.
I'm not going to tell you to have fun because
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Because usually when I say
To be
goodbye
fair,
to someone and they're going somewhere, I'm like, oh, okay, have fun. And then I was like, no, don't say that. It's a funeral.
Don't say it. Don't.
Yeah, no, if you're having fun, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, right. No, it'll be a, I don't know about a good time, but it will be a support somebody. It's an older lady who we've known for a while who passed away, and she was experiencing some pretty full dementia at the end. So, I mean,
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
celebration of her life and the peace she's in now. So, but you ladies have a great rest of the day.
Don't be inappropriate.
Thank you.
I'm not making
Color
promises about that.
That's my input.
Yeah. And we'll catch you on the next one, which will be next
All
Friday on Sarah's.
Yep.
So,
Yes.
CJ.
All
bye,
right.
CJ.
Bye.
Bye, lady.
Okay, I have to say this. I know we're going off track again, but I don't care. Like, when it's going to be my funeral, that's going to be a party. Like straight up party.
Yeah.
I have rules
fun with
set up already. Like, there's a girl who I let speak at my wedding so that she doesn't speak at my funeral, and everyone's aware of it. And
Oh my
there
God.
needs to be a clown smoking a cigarette, and like, there's a whole set of rules. I've set them up. Travis and Carissa both have like duties.
Yeah, no, I'm going to do a write-up of everything I want to happen, but I know for sure unless you have a passion for the color black, you shouldn't wear that. You should wear your favorite freaking color to my funeral.
I
don't
do have
care
a
if
passion for the color black, though. But
I don't care if that's hot pink, like or neon green, whatever you want, just wear it. Like,
I always just assumed everyone wore black to funerals so that they looked thinner than the dead person.
oh my God.
It's slimming.
Unless you're in Japan.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of funerals in general. They creep me out.
Like, unless you're in Japan, man, because then you have to wear white. And I'd
Yeah,
have
that's
a
weird.
real issue with that.
I don't want to wear white.
Here's my problem with wearing white. You have about 30 seconds where my clothes remain white.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
I'm messy. Super messy.
I'll have
I
like
can't
the
even imagine
entire
wearing
thing,
it.
the menu on my dress.
Right. Like, they would refer to me as the girl over there with the food-covered boobs.
So you don't want the breadcrumb or the breadcrumb catcher thing on your dress as well, then. The nice accessory.
I found a chip in my bra one time. I can't with white clothes.
Oh God. Oh,
I have
God.
problems.
Yeah, well, me too. Like, I get stuff on myself all the time, and sometimes like
you'd think for as much as I like food that I'd get it all in my mouth, but no.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, I love food. I love it. Like, I should be better at not wasting it by throwing it on myself. But
Well, and at least once a week, I pick up my soda and pour it before it gets to my face.
oh my God.
At least once a week.
I used to do that, but I don't drink soda as much anymore. And when I do drink it, I take the half-liter bottles. So
Yeah.
that works slightly better. But even with that, I might just pour next to my
It's
mouth.
usually when I've cans. And so the last can was really close to empty. So when I was here, it wasn't pouring out. But then I have a new can, and that can's just pouring all over me like I'm doing.
Because
gravity
we're
wasn't going to work today.
Just to put it in nicer terms, our dexterity is low for this light game. So not our fault.
Yeah.
You can't
yeah, no, my fingers are dexterous, but once you hit about mid-hand, that just stops. That's what
I'm the
I'm
opposite. Fingertips are useless. Mid-hand is good. Knock things over all the time with my fingers. It's like, I was only inches away.
Oh, man, I have periods of time, and I think it might be related to my bipolar or something, but where, like, it's like I'm not driving my own body. And so, like, I'll tell myself to do this, but I do this. And I don't know why, but, like, I'm like, not really in control of my limbs. I'm just, like, knocking shit over, and, like, I have no idea where things are because I've thrown them across the room, or sometimes I'll, like, pick up a pen and throw it.
Wow.
What is that?
Yeah. I knock shit off.
Think of dogs with their tails.
Yeah, or Dreamer, who has a dog-like tail for a cat.
Yeah, no, like I'm bad at this. I drop things all the time, and it's a miracle half of the things I own are still full. And like a few weeks ago, like for my hair, because it's thick and long and it gets tangled, I do a mask, which I make myself out of coconut oil, some olive oil, and a bit of argan oil. And I mix that, and then I put it on my hair and wait for 2 to 4 hours, and then wash it off. And it helps. It helps a lot. So I was doing that, and all these oils are not cheap. Like, they're not the cheapest thing.
Right.
They're not cheap in general, and here they're quite expensive. So I have this little thing, like I'll show you. I have this where I mix it. This is like a really thin metal. It's not very heavy. And I poured some in it, and then I have to place it somewhere near the flame on the stove so that it melts. And I don't know what the hell I was doing, but I come to the stove and most of it was spilled all over. And I go, oh my freaking God. I clean the stove, I put some more in it, and then when I move to put it on the kitchen table, it spills out again. And I was like, at this point, I'm just wasting everything. And somehow,
pouring oil all over your house.
Yeah, and somehow, I don't know why, I could just gather it back up in the recipient and use it. So I was like, my kitchen table is clean, and I'm putting this on my hair, so fuck it. But it was like in the span of 10 minutes, I dropped the same thing twice.
Wow.
Yep, I've done that stuff.
And yeah, I've been known to do stuff like that and drop really hot things. And it's a miracle I didn't burn myself. And then like, I was laughing like an idiot. My mom was next to me and she was laughing too. And the problem is that I was struggling to stop laughing and keep the dog from eating the super hot, sort of a porridge thing.
Yeah.
It's made from corn flour. Anyway, it's good. It's really good, and it's sweet, and then, oh my God, it's good. So I dropped all that. It was all over the table, down the side of the table, on the chair, and on the floor. And I was trying to keep Ares from eating it because obviously he likes it, but it was just too hot for him. It was too hot, and it's not good.
Right.
It's too hot. And I was just bowled over laughing because it was just like, I couldn't understand how I dropped it. I just couldn't. And the problem is I really wanted to eat that, and I had like this much at the bottom of the pan it was made in, and like, I was like, what the hell is wrong with me? I think I was super tired or something, but yeah, when I'm tired, it just goes off the chart. I drop everything, I bump into things, I have no control over my body.
You're running on autopilot.
I wish my autopilot is better than me asleep, like. But, you know, when I'm in a situation like that, I do understand why they say it's actually more dangerous to drive when you're super tired, than it is when you've been drinking.
Yeah, sleep is super important.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
get sleep, kids. Don't take
it's fine because with this cold I've slept so long.
Oh yeah, you've probably like stocked up on sleep for like a few months now at least.
Yeah. I mean, I got close to 3 hours before the stream with Sarah, which is like an absolute record for me.
Yeah, that's not normal.
Because I get anxious about not waking up, so I just still awake here and there. Yeah, and then we stayed up pretty late because after the stream we got chatting, and at a certain point Sarah had to tell CJ and me that, you know, guys, I'm kind of falling asleep here. Just go to bed. And I had some more cold medicine, and then I slept for another 3.5 hours, which again is a lot.
Yeah, that's good for you.
So I got a total about 6.5 to 7 hours, which is pretty good for a stream night. Which meant I could actually write a bit today.
Woohoo! I haven't written anything in a few days. I gotta do some writing. Actually, I have to do editing.
I was supposed to be part of this week challenge to write 50K words in 7 days.
Holy, that's so many words in a day.
Yeah, I was supposed to write about 7,000 words a day. I would have been happy with less. So on the first day I wrote like 5,000. On the second day, 7,000 plus. Then I had 2 days of nothing, like nothing. Then yesterday I wrote like 1,500, and today I'm close to 1,500 again.
Nice.
And I'm going to write some more because I want to finish this novella.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I will end up at around 20,000 words this week.
That's good.
Which is okay.
That's still really good, yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. It's more than entire months last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to have to do that every week and hit the 25,000 week mark so that I can get all the books published. Because I'm insane. So
yeah, crazy.
Yeah, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to make it, and I'm going to not need to go back to doing other freelance work and just write.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen. I might be dead when it happens, but it's going to happen.
You can do it. If anyone can do it, you can do it.
Thank you. I'm not that confident.
I'm confident for you. You can do it.
My boyfriend was like, oh, after I had the stream with Sarah and CJ, when they asked how many books were there to be written in the 1 million words, and I count them and then go insane because oh my God, I'm supposed to write 27 books this year. And then the second day I was laughing like a freaking lunatic. And I was out in the park with Mike, and I was telling him about this, and I couldn't stop laughing because it was so crazy. And I turned to him and like, do you think I have like the slightest chance of doing that? And he goes, no.
Part of being supportive is also calling the other person out, though.
Yeah, and he was like, but if you really manage this, I will be super impressed. Like, I would be legit impressed.
Right, like, you can say, I don't think that's going to work out, and still support someone trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because at this point, if I manage to reach about 80% of my goals, I'm still having a marvelous year.
No shit.
Absolutely fantastic. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, no kidding.
I'm going to try. I mean, like, honestly speaking, this is what I'm supposed to do all day. I don't have any other job now. I can afford to just do that. So
that's nice.
If I get my discipline stuff under control, I might be able to pull it off.
Yeah. Well, and if you have most of your time to dedicate to it, then I don't see why you couldn't at least get close. Holy, words are hard.
You know, I'm also using, I set up one of the NaNoWriMo website, like your own goal thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to use that to like continue fueling myself. I haven't written in a couple days, but it definitely made me write some. I don't know how long that will fuel me, but for right now, there is something to be said about having that bar graph. That's like, look at you, you made that bar longer. Good job, you.
I made myself an XLS sheet, and I have like daily sessions and I track the words I write in every session and then the total. And then I'll have a week total, a month total, and a yearly total, and that helps me. And what helped this week is that I'm in that group of crazy people who are trying to write 50K in a week.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to God they keep going after this week, because it's really helpful to see other people doing it. And you don't feel as crazy. I mean, having Claire helps, to be honest, because she's planning to publish like 23 books this year. And we are going to do that Descent into Madness live stream once a month. So that should be fun. But it helps to see more people being as crazy and trying to pull this impossible word counts. And I find that stimulating and inspiring. Like, I'm not the sort of person that gets discouraged when I see people writing more or making more money. I find that inspiring, and it just pushes me to try harder. So I'm lucky that way, because other people, they just get demoralized when they see that. And
I have the problem that if I think the person's an asshole and they're doing well, I have a harder time giving a shit that they're doing well. Like, I'm just like, yeah, why are they doing well? They're a freaking asshole.
Yeah, I used to have that problem too. And it's not about them being an asshole, especially, I mean, like, some people are assholes and they still write great books. That's fine. What I don't like is, like, you see someone who's doing pretty well without putting in a lot of effort, and then everything they talk about is the negative side of everything and how hard everything is. That I find annoying.
Yeah, that is not great.
But that said, none of that, just common as holery, will stop me from reading that person's book if I enjoy the book. If they write great books,
I tend to be more discouraged when they're talking about how well they do when they're an asshole.
Oh yeah, I get that.
Like, I'm like, so do I have to be a douchebag? Like, is that required here? Like, I just, like, I start to feel very like, is not being an asshole a problem?
Yeah, and that's when seeing a lot of other people who are super nice and helpful to everyone stimulates me. So that's all good.
Yeah, when everybody's supportive, it's that works pretty well for me. But as long as nobody's an ass.
Yeah, and I think we were talking earlier about marketing and people not talking about money and how much money they make. I think the reason for that is that in most cultures, it's considered impolite to talk about it. And I know that's a US thing, and that's a Romanian thing, and a lot of countries don't see it as very nice to talk about money.
Yeah, it's pretty popular here in Canada too. I think people are getting a bit more open about it, but people are still pretty, like you said, it's considered almost like bragging probably. That's why it's considered rude, because you're like, oh yeah, I make this amount of money. But if you're doing it tactfully, I don't think it's rude.
Yeah.
No, in fact, that group that you recommended me to, Alina, there's lots of people posting like their figures, and I don't feel like any of them are like rubbing my nose in it.
Yeah. They're super nice, and the thing is, like, a lot of them post comparisons, like past years when they weren't doing that great, and that I found really helpful.
Is super helpful.
Yeah.
Just seeing like growth and stuff.
Like I
like there is a chance for me later. To improve here. Like, this isn't the end of it.
I was thinking, like, when I started the author challenge thing, I was thinking of posting my numbers, but then I was like, maybe people don't want to talk about that. So my stance on it is, if anybody asks, I'll tell them exactly what I made and how I made it, but I won't make a video about the money stuff.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Because that way I don't offend anyone in any way. If people want to know, I'll tell them. I will tell them I tripled my income year to year. That I will tell, because it's impressive, even if it's not the hugest amount of money.
Even if you tripled, $100, you still tripled your income. Like, that's still a big, that's an improvement on what you're doing.
Yeah, it is. And it's pretty much at the point where I have to triple it again, and I'll be fine. I'll be safe. I'll be safe for the year, which might happen. I don't know. We'll see. It's possible.
Well, I mean, at like 2.5 books a month, I would think you'd be able to do that.
It's not 2.5 books a month. I promise. I promise. Hi, Amber. Welcome. I mean, there are months with a couple books, but they're in different, completely different genres and completely different worlds, because I'm going to focus more on my I don't know how to call it, non-LGBT fiction.
Okay.
So, and by non-LGBT fiction, I mean that the main characters are pretty much straight. Not that all characters are straight in the book. Because in my Bad Blood trilogy, which was my debut trilogy and it's mainstream urban fantasy, let's say, one of the supporting characters, who's the protagonist's best friend, is bisexual. So, because, you know, there is no world where everyone is straight.
That'd
so
be weird.
I try to reflect that, but you know, the main couple, they're straight, let's say.
Right, and
So,
that's just
It's just not the focus. Like with your
Right.
LGBT stuff, it's more so the focus and the theme,
Yes.
right?
Yes, and it's less so in my urban fantasy. And that's why, I mean, I struggled to decide what genre it is because it's vampires and witches, what I want to write this year. And I first thought I should class mine as paranormal romance, but the series is not a standard romance. She does end up in a happy relationship at the end of the series, but it's not with the first guy she met. She goes through a lot of trials until she finds the love of her life. But the thing is, like, I decided it's urban fantasy because I was trying to find the differences between paranormal romance and urban fantasy. And as far as I could tell, people said if you can take the love story out of it and you still have a story that can stand on its own, it's pretty much urban fantasy. If you take out the romance and all the other subplots implode, then it's probably paranormal romance.
That's a really good way to look at it.
Yeah, because you know it's kind of a subgenre of fantasy anyway. So
right.
Yeah, and I want to finish this trilogy because I really loved it. I love the idea. I love the world I created. I am editing it now because 4 years ago when it was published and 5 or 6 years ago when it was written, my style wasn't as on par as it is now. I mean, it's improved, and I've had a blast correcting some minor issues that I saw, and I can't wait to promote it because it's a vampire trilogy. It should do better than it did. And had I launched it then with everything I know now, it would have done a lot better. Definitely. Yeah. So I'm going to push it, and I'm going to release the final book in April. But in April, I will also have a LGBT fiction book as well.
Because you're crazy.
Yes. Basically.
Just slide that in.
Basically, I'm insane, but that's already been established.
We're still here, even though you're crazy, and we know it. So
yeah, we
so
know it.
Fine.
We've signed the terms and conditions already. We know what we got into.
Right.
But let me tell you about it because we are talking marketing, planning out marketing for so much. Has been an ordeal.
I bet. Holy.
Like a few nights ago, I was not sleeping and dreaming of how I will fix my newsletter issue because I will have 2 separate newsletters, and I went to sleep wondering how the hell I'm going to reflect that on the first page of the website without taking too much space of the first window they see when they land there. And I dreamt about that because it was stressing me out. Oh my God. So yeah, the thing is, like, I can plan for when to release shit and when to write it, but then when you add in all the editing and the marketing, and it gets a bit complicated, and it's kind of like you need a lot more discipline than I have. Like, I don't have a problem with working long hours. I don't have a problem with that. I can do that long term. But when I have to stick to a strict schedule day in and out, I kind of tend to get antsy and drop it all. Because it's too settled and disciplined for me. And that sucks. I have to work on it if I want to make it. And that's difficult because I've gotten by with being this messy person that just leaves everything to the last minute and then gets it done. But at this point, it's so much that I can't do it anymore.
Got to have a bit more of a rigid plan.
Yeah. And I'm not good with rigid plans. I'm learning to be.
Oh, learning to plan.
Yeah, no, I know how to plan. I just don't know how to stick to the plan. I make great plans. They're amazing. they're not as great looking as Sarah's. I like Sarah's way of planning.
But I also adjust mine regularly. Like I'm one of the things that fuels me to make plans is making forms. I have a weird obsession with office supplies and making forms and stuff. This is all my mom's fault. So like I have a collection of pens and half of them don't fucking work, but I won't get rid of them because they're my pens. So but like I have this problem with those things. So my planning, like I have the whole month laid out in my little calendar thing. Next month's calendar will look slightly different because I'll adjust it based on what I needed and didn't need this month. And that works really well for me, partly because having something new to adhere to seems to trigger something in my brain to keep focused on. It almost like re-ups that whole January 1st feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's why monthly goals work so well for me. I know some people have an issue with that and prefer to have them quarterly or bi-monthly or something like that. But for me, having the monthly works really well because I always have that fresh start.
Right, and it's long enough to catch up if you get behind, but it's short enough that you can start over and start fresh.
Yeah, exactly. And I try to have quarterly or bi-monthly goals, but it doesn't really work with my release schedule and with everything else I have planned, like newsletters and stuff. If I had one newsletter a month, that would work, but it doesn't happen like that because I have a lot of stuff going on. So if I don't plan it down by month, it doesn't help me. I don't really do weekly schedules. Like I don't say I have to finish this week. No, monthly is okay. And it gives me some sort of leeway. But the thing is, like with this schedule that I want for next year, I do need a certain number of hours per day where I write. And that's the bit where I'm struggling with a bit because it takes some of the flexibility because whatever I do, I have to write for 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I added on my thing. I added this to the front of my calendar, and it doesn't look like much, but it helps me because it shows me everything that I have to do that's already scheduled. So it shows my work day and everything. So at least I can look at it and see where I have gaps of time that I can work or that I can add things. And it's not even like, it's not a this week schedule. It's just my regular weekly schedule, you know? So it's not like I don't do that every week. That's just so that I can glance at Tuesday and see what I have Tuesday night. Like, especially because Travis and I have, he streams and I stream. So like there are things I absolutely can't do on Wednesday nights from 9 to 11 because he's live streaming on Twitch. Well, I can't be over here like having a conversation with someone because he's going to have that conversation in his live stream. So
I totally get that.
Yeah, so that helps a lot with that. And I think it would help a lot if I had little kids I was managing too. I mean, Travis's youngest is almost 18, so that's not nearly as big of an issue for us. But you know, if I was one of those like my kids have 3 different kinds of lessons during the week moms and stuff, I think would.
Yeah, I've seen someone like they were talking about schedules in the group we're in, and someone was saying they wake up at 4 in the morning and they
I used to do that.
They do coffee, writing, and running before they do the mom thing from 6 to 8 when the kids go to school. And I was like, I'd be exhausted.
I used to get up at 4 every morning and write. I never had to like get kids ready for school, but yeah, I used to get up at 4 a.m. and write until I had to go to work.
I like to wake up at 5 a.m. for a long time. I like to wake up at 5 a.m. do stuff, then get the dog out relatively early. And by 10 or 11, I already had half of my work done. But that doesn't work for me anymore now because I have a boyfriend now and we meet in the evening and we meet at around 7 and spend a couple of hours or more together. And then I have to take the dog out. So realistically, I can't go to bed before 11 and I can't deal with just 6 hours of sleep. I know some
it's
people
one thing to
can.
do it once in a while. It's another thing to
Yeah.
have that be your schedule.
Yeah, I mean, I know some people can deal with so few hours, and you're supposed to need less sleep as you age, but that's not kicked in for me yet. I'm still
Yeah,
at
I don't know when that's supposed to hit me, but I'll take it.
Yeah, I'm still at 8 to 10 hours because
Yeah, sign me up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can deal for a couple of days of 6-7 hours, but after that I need my full 9 hour to 10 hour sleep.
Eventually it'll catch up with you.
Yeah.
It always does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but the important thing I've learned is that you have to schedule everything in. Even if you don't schedule specific stuff, you have to know how much time each task consumes, because you have your writing, which you schedule in. You have your editing, which you remember to schedule in, but then you forget about just how much time the marketing takes, and then you're scrambling. So that helps me out now because I have my YouTube stuff planned out. I do know when and what to post on social media. I'm still behind with my blogging.
Yeah.
Which sucks, but I'm going to get that under control too. And it just, unfortunately, it will be about an hour a day of marketing when you're actively marketing stuff.
So do you guys use any apps or anything to like automate some of your marketing?
I use Hootsuite occasionally. I don't have a paid account though, so that limits me.
I do have a paid account because I have so many accounts to manage. God damn it. Because I had the travel blogs and I still have one travel blog, so I have all the accounts there. And I also use Hootsuite for Instagram posts.
Okay.
Because I can send them to Instagram and then edit them.
Yeah.
That's for pictures I have on my computer, not on my phone. It's just easier to do it that way. I have Hootsuite, and I do have an email marketing service for the newsletter. I wouldn't do it myself because there's just too difficult to handle. And what else do I use? I think that's about it. And Hootsuite, even if I pay it, I don't use it to its maximum potential because I could upload XLS sheets with tweets for the entire month for each account I run, and I never do that. I do sometimes schedule. Oh, and I also use Triber.
I've heard that one.
Triber, there are some tribes that you join with your Twitter account. And you can schedule retweets from the people in your tribe, and they will retweet your stuff.
Oh, that's kind of neat.
Oh.
Which is nice because you get some constant content for your profile. So there's always something being posted.
Right.
Which is cool. And if you guys are interested, I have a tribe of my own that I manage, so I can always add you.
Yeah, I probably am.
Yeah, sure. I will.
I need to figure out what the hell I'm doing with it. But yeah, I'm so bad at like learning a new program because I look at it and I go, I don't want to figure this out.
You just need an RSS feed for your blog to add to your profile, and it just pulls all your posts from your blog.
Oh, neat.
And whenever you post something, it gets there and people can share it through their Twitter, which is pretty nice. And you share their content, and it's usually like they're based on genre or just writing in general. So the content you post is related to what you're interested in, which is really helpful because you're not just retweeting random shit from people. It's book related somehow or writing related, which I find useful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super nice.
And for my main account, for my Alina Popescu account, I used to log in and tweet from there every day, but lately because of my cold, I just couldn't. So I tried to log in once a week and schedule some stuff because you can schedule the interval between tweets, and mine is set at half an hour. So it'll schedule everything I want for like a couple of days, and then I just don't have to worry about it. I just post stuff in between, which is nice.
Yeah, I was doing that with Hootsuite with my videos, like where I would set it up to post every so often and just auto post for like the next week, because that was my video for the week. So I just continually post it. And on Twitter's a lot more forgiving of over posting.
Yeah, yeah, it really is.
Yeah, it is, because there's so much being tweeted
So fast. Yeah.
And so fast that people are okay with you posting the same thing several times.
Yeah.
Chances are maybe they will see it once.
Right.
Yeah. If that on Twitter, because sometimes they may not even see that single post.
Yeah, it depends on how their feed is set up.
Yeah.
So.
And there are people who just automatically retweet something that's posted with certain hashtags.
Yes.
And I noticed that, because if I use the M writing hashtag or author life, I'll get retweets instantaneously.
Yeah, M writing is probably the most successful one I've had.
I've noticed, what was it, H.P. Lovecraft? When I read the Lovecraft Compendium, I kept getting retweets from, I think it's a bot. I assume it's a bot. Yeah. But yeah, that one, for whatever reason, they're retweeting H.P. Lovecraft because everyone's obsessed with him now.
I don't know. My boyfriend has been obsessed with H.P. Lovecraft for a long time, so.
I don't know. I just read his stuff recently, and I'm like, cool.
I didn't yet. I really want to, because on Christmas Day, we played the Trail of Cthulhu pen and paper game. And I found that really interesting and cool. And I know I watched him play Bloodborne. That's the one, I think, that has a lot of Cthulhu and Lovecraftian imagery in it. I think Bloodborne is the one. And I really love the aesthetics of it and the world created and the concept of madness and whatever. Losing your shit because you've been faced with the supernatural. I do love that concept and I want to read them, but man, like I have an issue reading everything I want to read because there's just not enough time. And I've scheduled like 6 books a month for this year. And it's not very little, it's not a lot, but I feel like I don't have enough time to read everything I want to read, because there's books I want to read, there's books that are sent to me for review for Eyes on Books. And I'm trying so hard to catch up with reviews from last year, because my 3rd quarter and 4th quarter were a bit of a shit show. And I ran behind with everything. Everything, and I'm still catching up to that. For some of the books, I did mention them on my YouTube wrap-ups, and I did quick reviews of them, so I don't feel as bad, but I didn't post actual reviews on my blog, so I should probably do that soon. But
I'm bad about reading. I try and stick to at least 1 book a month. It's the same thing. There's not enough time in the day to just read and write and marketing and work and everything else that you've got to do, and it's just
the thing is,
I get to where I want to read when I'm tired, and that's the worst combination of things ever.
Yeah.
No, the thing for me
I'm
is
sleepy. I should lay down and read.
No, the thing for me is that my reading slowed down a lot since I broke my tablet.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because I used to read before bed, and I have a Kindle now, but it's not the Paperwhite one with backlight, and
it's hard on the eyes.
I don't fall asleep well with any other kind of light. I mean, I use this LED light that's right here as a nightstand light, but it's annoying and it's not the same thing. So I'm hoping to get the tablet sorted this week, because that's another shit show in itself. Because other than the US site, I cannot order a Kindle from any other Amazon site. A tablet. It is, because like if I order it from the US, it gets super expensive with everything, and it takes a long time to get here. I could get it in a week from the UK, but they are not available for shipping in Romania. And I tried the German one, the Spanish one, every freaking site. Romania. So what I'm going to do is have it delivered to a friend in the UK. I have to talk to them first, and then ask them to ship it here.
Yeah.
The only option I have, and I'm just going to get the tablet and read more because I got so used to reading in a dark room, and just if I fall asleep, I fall asleep. Like the tablet is next to me in bed, it's fine. If I fall asleep with the light open, I will wake up and then have a hard time falling back asleep. That hasn't happened while I've been sick, because I just sleep.
You just get knocked out.
That's the only reason I'm not that far behind with my reading right now. That I've been sick and I've read a lot. But that's the only way that works for me if I have a backlit screen. And I have an app that Mike installed, and I don't even know the name, that pretty much adapts the light from day to night and just gives it a different tint of color at night. So it's nicer on the eyes. It's not super
I have one
hard
of those
on
on
the
my
eyes.
phone.
Yeah.
It's so much nicer at night.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm hoping to get back into reading more with my tablet. But yeah.
Goals
And
for 2018. Reading.
Yeah, and the other nice thing is that this year I got more into audiobooks, and that expanded my reading time, listening time, because I can listen to an ebook when I walk my dog, or when I go grocery shopping, or when I'm driving. So that increased my reading time a lot.
Yeah, I was thinking of getting into audiobooks. I've never really been a huge fan because I feel like I don't retain the information as much. Like I'm not, partially because I'm not paying attention fully. Because with a book, when you've got to
space out sometimes.
Yeah, like you're dedicated to reading, or at most of the time. Like, yeah, you read a page over and over, but you're dedicated at that point. If you're reading, it's like, all right, I'm gonna work on this, and I'm gonna do this, and do dishes and laundry, and
I find that I listen to audiobooks really well, like in the bathtub. That's like a really good place, because that's all I'm thinking about. I'm just laying in the bathtub, not doing anything, listening to this book. But I also read in the bathtub and have no problem with it. So like, I don't know that it's better one way or the other. I mean, when your books are covered in shelf paper and don't have covers on them anymore and stuff, it doesn't matter if you're in the bathtub. So
the thing is, like, when I first started with audiobooks, I had the very hard time concentrating on them. I would just lose track, and that was annoying. But I started again during the Spookathon, I think. And that worked well, because I was going at the park with the dog and just standing there. And while he was playing, I was listening to my ebooks, and I got used to paying attention to it. And if I had earplugs like this or headphones, it works really well. And then it works well at home. Like when I do my makeup, if I'm not watching a YouTube video, which I do more now because I have all these educational videos that I have to get through and I'm behind. But if not, I just play the audiobook and just go about my makeup or doing my nails, which I haven't done at all this year, but anyway. And I feel like I waste less of the time, because if I were to read, I couldn't, because I have to look at the stupid book. I can't do my makeup and read. So I feel like I gain more out of the time I have if I listen to audiobooks, but it was a learned experience. I really didn't like it at first.
Maybe I should give it another shot then.
Yeah, for me,
I feel like nonfiction for sure is like super handy. It's almost like listening to a podcast at that point.
Yeah.
But for fiction, that one I couldn't do.
Yeah, for me, it was like third time's a charm.
I'll give another shot then.
But I do have moments when I get distracted, and I have to remind myself I'm listening to this. But I got a lot better to it. The more I listen to audiobooks, the more into it I am. And I'm so grateful that I don't completely waste the time, because I used to hate shopping. It takes a lot to go grocery shopping. I have to go through this whole shopping thing in Carrefour and get everything. And I waste 2 hours or 3 hours going there and back to get our grocery for a week or two. So now that I listen to audiobooks, I don't feel like that's such a waste of time. At least I get the story out of it.
Mhm.
So yeah. Speaking of, do you guys plan on doing audiobooks anytime in the future?
I've talked about it, and Travis has all the equipment to be able to do it if I just wanted to hire someone. But I don't think I could do it. I don't think I have, first of all, steady enough voice. Second of all, I personally like when they try to do voices and stuff, and I don't think I could do that. So I think I'd have to hire someone.
Yeah, same here. My only problem is that ACX is not open to anyone that's not in North America or the UK now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can't put my
problem.
books there. But I'm hoping it would happen soon. I know it costs quite a bit to get an audiobook done and not do a royalty share. But from what I've heard from other authors, it's pretty much easier to get your investment back on audiobooks than it is on normal books.
Well, and Travis knows some voice actors, so like that part wouldn't be hard for me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like it's just the logistics of actually like getting down and doing it, honestly.
Yeah. Totally get it. But from what I've read from a marketing standpoint, the more formats you have for your book, the better it performs.
I've heard
so
that makes sense
as well.
If you have ebook and paperback and audiobook, it does well. And the truth is, I've seen that for books I've owned, like for the Red Rising series. I got the audiobooks just to make headway in the readathon because I was at the part so I could listen to the books. And because I had bought the ebook, the audiobook was cheaper. And this thing that they do when they bundle stuff, and if you get the paperback, you get the ebook for 99 cents, and then you get the audiobook for 50% of the price. They encourage people to get them in all formats because there are a lot of people that switch between formats. And I understand why it performs well, and I would really love to integrate that in my strategy, but for now, I can't. Like, I legit can't.
It's just not.
Amazon won't let me. And and to be honest, I did check pricing on audiobook credits on several sites, and I still think Amazon is the best deal, and they have the most variety of the widest variety of books that I've seen. So I'm just hoping maybe someone at Amazon listens and they just open ACX to everyone.
I'm surprised they haven't already, because ACX has been around for a few years at this point, hasn't it?
Yeah. The last time I checked was summer of last year, and it wasn't open yet.
Yeah, that's so sweet.
Don't think they did yet.
I know I was looking at, what's it called? Findaway Voices, I think, through Draft to Digital. I think that's just finding...
Yeah. They've just launched a service to do audiobooks to Draft to Digital. I checked that out too, but...
Do you have access to that one?
I think I would, but that's just money up front.
Yeah. It's just a different avenue, I guess. I don't know. I haven't looked at it because all I have is short stories right now, so I haven't looked into it too much because it's not totally worth it right now. I'm not making enough money back on it, but when I have novels and stuff down the line, I'd like to have literally every format I can get would be nice. So audiobook is definitely something I'd look into.
Yeah, that's something I hope to add to my marketing tool set at some point.
Yeah, well, that was another thing is that I have 2 books, but one of them is a short story collection. So one of the things I was considering doing was having different people read each short story.
That would be cool.
Yeah, and I think that would be a lot of fun. But then, that means that I have to find 11 people instead of 1.
Yeah.
True.
So, and your baseline cost is going to be for them to read, period. So it's going to be more expensive to do it that way than it is to have one person to read all of those pages.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
so
different transactions.
the other option, though, is that I might be able to find some people who can actually do some favors for me. The problem with that, though, is that a couple of people I know who I for sure could get to do it, who have voice acting experience and stuff. A couple of them has pronunciation issues, I can't get them to get past. Like, and we've had conversations as friends where I'm like, that's not how that word is pronounced at all. And they're like, well, that's how I pronounce it. I'm like,
that's not how it works.
Nope, that's not how that works. You know, and like, one of the things about an audiobook is I should be able to tell you, like, no, that inflection on that line is not correct. And now you emphasized it in a way that made it sound like this rather than that.
Yeah.
You know?
And that
like,
matters in that situation.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think that's another thing. It's like, it's just so much more to manage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the thing is, like, if you work with someone who's a book narrator, they already know to expect these things.
Yeah.
Right.
That there would be suggestions on how they interpret certain things.
Yeah.
But pretty much if you find someone who's flexible, doesn't matter they don't have specific book experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I was legit thinking of using one of Mike's friends. I actually talked to him. And he's got a really cool voice, and he's got the perfect American accent for his English. You wouldn't tell he's Romanian. Some people are like that in Romania. They have perfect US accents or perfect British accents, and that's awesome. I'm not one of those people, obviously. I mean, my accent is not as bad as other people's from this region.
No, it's really not.
But
no, I don't think yours
but
is.
I can tell. I really can tell, and it's annoying me. Especially,
that's why I don't speak French.
Oh, I don't
because
care.
my accent is so bad that I just feel silly.
Yeah, I don't care. I mean, I was forced to speak in a different language because nobody speaks Romanian. So fuck it.
Right.
In terms of grammar, I probably speak more correctly than a lot of natives.
Yes.
So fuck it. Deal with my accent. But yeah, that's the downfall and somehow the benefit of coming from a small country whose language nobody speaks. You're forced to be at least at the conversational level proficient in a foreign language.
Right.
And I can't
preferably
speak any languages. Power to you.
I can manage in Spanish and French if I'm pressed to do it.
That's how I am in French.
But English is the only one I'm fluent in because it's the one I've worked with my entire life, and I didn't lose any of the things I've learned. I just improved over time. The thing is, like, I first spoke to people who didn't speak any other language that I knew when I was 13. So I started super early. I was traveling with my parents around Europe and with my mom and my stepdad. And I met some kids from Italy and some kids from Austria. So the only language we could communicate in was English. So it pushed me to use what I've learned in school in a conversational setting. And that's been really helpful. Really, it's been helpful. Yeah. And the fact that I kept traveling abroad after that helped. And then the internet became this big thing. Right. And I always conversed with people in English, and that helped because I was pretty good in French too in high school. At the end of high school, I was really good at French too, but I lost that because I didn't practice.
Yeah, I used to have like French friends who I was like pen pals with on the internet. And after I kind of fell out of touch with those people, my French skills kind of just went down the shitter. But I can still read it. Like, and I've read books in French. Like, that's not a problem for me. But it's the tapping into the right words to put them out that's a problem for me, you know?
Yeah.
Like, when I see them, I know what they mean. I don't pull them up easily.
Yeah, and I'm not as good at understanding spoken French. Like, if somebody talks to me and tries to make themselves understood, I'll pick up about 80% to 90% of what they're saying. But if I'm watching a movie, if I'm watching a movie or something, I no longer get as much as I could before because I lost the training of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay in a movie. That's a thing that irritates Travis because one of his favorite directors is what's his name? The guy who did like Man Bites Dog and The Fifth Element and
Luc Besson.
Yeah. Yeah, and so he's got several movies that are in French. And Travis has to read the subtitles, and I'm over here just like watching the movie.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm kind of jealous that you don't have to read these subtitles and you can watch it more. And I'm like, yeah, that does. I mean, because you're busy reading instead of seeing what's happening.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I lost the habit of reading subtitles. I've gotten it back now because I'm more into anime, and those are in Japanese, so I need the subtitles. But I remember years ago, one of my old boyfriends was Turkish, and we watched a Turkish comedy. And for the first 5 minutes, I couldn't understand a thing of anything because I wasn't following the freaking subtitles. I was just looking at the people on the screen and expecting to understand them. I didn't speak Turkish, obviously. I knew like 10 words total. So, yeah. That was interesting.
I have friends who only understand Spanish, and they only understand it because they find the Spanish channel's soap operas to be amazing. And so they've watched the soap operas on the Spanish channel so long that they understand Spanish. They still don't speak it, but they can watch it and they can be like, well, she cheated on her boyfriend with that guy over there. And I'm like, how do you know this? And they're like, well, I've been watching it for months.
Yeah, no. After the revolution, first there was the Dallas wave, and then there was the telenovelas wave, and everybody was watching them. Like the entire family watched the telenovelas, and I was like in middle school, so I was absorbing a lot then, and that was my first interaction with Spanish, and I could understand it perfectly. It was South American Spanish for the most part. Less so of the proper Spanish.
That's what we did too. Yeah.
I mean, the grammar is pretty much the same, but the pronouns are a bit different.
Yeah.
And
their slang is very different.
But I was okay having basic conversations in Spanish after watching those telenovelas for a while, and then I started with Duolingo and properly learning pretty recently. I tried to get it as an optional in uni, to just learn Spanish, but I kind of never completed that. I went to a private university because their tourism program seemed really interesting, and then they managed to piss me out of attending because I was like, you're teaching me bullshit. I don't need this in my life. Like, I was a PR manager at the time, and they were telling me that B2B marketing is done by going and visiting each factory to interact with them. And I was like, the hell century do you live in? Retard. Like,
yeah. I had a teacher in college once for entrepreneurship who's like, yeah, you want to be sending out flyers in the mail. I'm like, what? Who sends flyers in the mail? Send an email list. No, you don't want an email list. People don't open emails. It's like, what are you talking about?
I did a mailing thing. I did a package sending thing where I sent our PR kit and the little tux toy with our Oxygen logo on it. But it was because we were trying to send out from all the people emailing them. And everybody loved the tux, and they were all super happy to receive it. I did send that to journalists.
Yeah.
It's got to be like, paper marketing has to be like pretty specific. It can't just be like blanket flyers.
That has to be directed at very specific people.
Yeah, and it's got to have.
We were trying to get their attention because we were this company in Romania creating email software for the world, and they were everywhere in the world, mostly in the US, and they didn't know about us and they didn't care about our emails, but the packages they liked.
Yeah.
So
something to stand out.
That was fun. Sometimes that works well. Just doing the opposite thing, but not always.
It's got to have the right intentions. I think that could be a good theme for marketing in general. If you're not doing it with the right intentions, it's going to come off as cheesy and forced a lot of the time.
Yeah. And another thing I would like to say is that there should be some bits of it that you absolutely adore, because that makes the entire marketing experience nicer. For me, that's YouTube. YouTube is the one platform I do out of sheer passion and because I love to engage with people that are already on YouTube, like other authors.
Right.
And that has made everything else marketing a lot more pleasant for me.
Yeah, it definitely helps if you actually enjoy what you're doing, for sure.
And like, obviously, of my platforms, YouTube is the smallest one because I started the latest with it. And
YouTube is hard to build because people know that if they watch a bunch of your videos, the next time you get a new video up, it'll recommend it to them.
Yeah.
So they don't want to subscribe because that fills their feed. So you have to like make it so that they're uncomfortable missing your content for them to push the subscribe button.
Yeah. Or just hook them with something cutesy, which I'm trying to make with my strategy of subscribe because I need to rule the world and I'm doing it one subscriber at a time. I don't think that actually works on people, but I tell myself it's quirky and they'll like it.
Right.
So,
It feels so greasy asking for likes and subscribes. It's like
I do too. I have a hard time with that.
I used to have a hard time for it, but then I decided I'm going to make fun of it and make fun of my own insecurity and go with my I have this queen of everything nickname that a friend of mine, Adi, who's actually the one who's helping me with all the techie stuff and website stuff. He was having an argument with me and he was like, yeah, you're right. You're the freaking queen of everything. And I was like, I like that. I'm going to keep that. And
finally, someone acknowledged my presence.
And it got so, I don't have it here, but I'll post a picture of it. My friends got together and made me this diploma of sorts that says, we the people willingly, which is cut out and underneath it is forcefully. Acknowledge Alina Popescu as queen of everything and blah, blah, blah. It's a nice little diploma that they printed and framed for me. So I play on that card a lot. And I thought I could do it for YouTube. Like I could tell people I want to rule the world, which is not entirely wrong.
And hey, that line worked for Madonna.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, true.
That was what put Madonna on the map was when she said that to MTV.
True.
I didn't know that. Steal stuff off my desk. Stop. She like reaches up and just pulls things off.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing? What? You don't need an eyeliner. She's like, I do.
Going out of the town.
Yeah, it's a shitty eyeliner anyway. She'd never be able to get it to go on. It's awful.
Oh God, those are the worst ever.
Yeah, it's going in the garbage.
Yeah, and I wanted to say that I feel like of all the platforms, if you're comfortable with it, YouTube will show the most of your personality of all the social media.
Yeah.
I think.
I would say so. It'll show off more of your personality, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You have an option also to cut out the parts of you that are insecure so that your personality comes through without your insecurities coming through.
Yeah, but that's harder to do when you do a live stream or something. But I think
right. But like with your regular videos, you can snip out those things.
Yeah. By the point,
and so you look like an expert, and it makes you look fancy.
By the point you do live streams, I think you're comfortable enough with YouTube anyway.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, but I
don't live streams usually. That's you just often be nervous a lot of the time.
I used to not let Travis have cameras in the same room as me unless they were like turned toward a wall or something.
Oh wow.
Like I was super uncomfortable with being on camera and all that.
You've come a long way.
Yeah, and then I decided I wanted to do a YouTube channel, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
So, and then so he started like getting me in on different little things where I'd be on camera, and he's like, well, she's trying to get more comfortable, so here we go. Like.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah, but I mean, it was really hard. I had like a real serious block about being on camera. It was really, I was super uncomfortable with it.
I loved cameras growing up. Like I remember the first time I went on TV was in my last year of high school. There was this program they did on kids with great results, and they did an entire episode on the Latin international team, and I was one of the people they interviewed. And what they told us is not look in the camera because you'll freeze. Oh no, not the camera, the monitors, the TV monitors.
Oh yeah, because you stop and look at yourself
and you'll freeze. And that's exactly what I did. I was like talking with the person, and I glanced at the monitor. It was positioned in a way that I didn't suddenly look away, but I was like, oh my God, I look good on camera. I look better than in reality because I had some makeup on, and it just looked really great with those powerful lights. It just makes all the imperfections disappear. They're like, oh my, I look so great. And I was so happy talking to the man, and I love being on camera, which is weird because I'm generally super shy. Like I'm shy as fuck in real life. I'm better at it now, but I had to work really hard to get over my shyness. So then in front of the camera, suddenly my shyness goes away. Plus, the worst thing that could happen to me on camera already happened in university, because I studied journalism, and we had a TV class. And I was supposed to go in front of the camera and report on a piece of news. No script, no nothing. And I froze. And the reason why I froze was that the teacher tells us, get some notes, don't write the actual copy. Just get some notes that you can go off. And I did that. And then everybody in the class goes, no, you have to write it out. And then the teacher comes, no, you don't have to write it out. Just write a few sentences. And the problem is I'd gone through the copy so many times that I had learned it by heart. And that's the worst thing you can do when you're reporting like live without script and anything, because you get stuck. Because you learn the poem, and if you get stuck on one verse, you're stuck completely. You can't go past it. And I kept trying, and I froze, and I said, I'm sorry, and this is what happened. And the teacher says, it's okay. This is why you shouldn't do it. I understand it wasn't on purpose. You'll do it again next time. And next time when the seminar happened, I did it in front of the camera, and everything went smoothly because I didn't know it by heart anymore. So yeah, and I was used to freezing, and I knew I could just try it later, and fuck it, nothing happened. The world didn't end. It's fine. So yeah, the interesting part is that I hate the way my voice sounds. I'm still doing it. I mean, like, now I have a cold, but usually I feel like I sound like a dumb child. That's how I perceive my voice.
Yeah, I mean, there's something so strange about the sound of your own voice outside of your body. Mm-hmm. Like, it's so freaking weird, and it's so hard to get used to. And like, you can know all day long this is the voice everyone else hears, and nobody's ever told me to shut up because it's
exactly, because it never sounds the way you hear it. And
right, but like that's not what I sound like.
Oh my God, it's awful. It sounds so much better in my head.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Someone explained it to me once, like, because the reason it sounds like that is because your voice is echoing in your bones in your head. It's the weirdest thought of being like, yeah, bones are hollow. Of course, they just amplify the way your voice sounds. But it's just the weirdest thing, and it takes so long to get used to. When you're editing and stuff, it's like, ugh. But you get over it eventually.
Amber, you don't sound like a guy. I can tell you that you don't sound like a guy.
I have that feeling sometimes too, though, Amber. Yeah. Especially right now when I'm all stuffy.
Yeah, I get it, because you two have a deeper tone voice. But no, it doesn't sound like a guy. I'm sorry, it doesn't. No.
Well, and then I also have like my professional answering the phone at work voice, which is not terribly masculine, but it also is really fake. Like really fake.
Oh yeah.
It's so embarrassingly bad.
Everyone's got that phone voice.
God.
Like, oh, hello. Yeah.
Hello,
no,
Trynda speaking.
That's not.
Oh God, yeah, I remember doing that in support. And when you're supposed to sound perky and it's 5 a.m. and you're at the end of your night shift.
Yeah.
You're not feeling perky.
Yeah, it's like, I just want to go home. So why are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Jazz, that's you and me both, but apparently people don't find it grating enough to stop talking to you, so that's a plus, I guess.
Right.
Has to say something, I guess.
Yeah.
There is a lady who's like, she's like married to someone who's a client at work. But she sounds like a Muppet. I can't hear that woman talk. It makes me angry. He tried to put her on the phone the other day, and I was like, no, you just relay the message.
Please.
You guys remember Jenny from Friends?
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Everybody hated
this
her
lady's
song.
voice, it's like she can't regulate her own tone of voice.
Oh, God.
So it changes the whole time you're talking to her. It's really weird. It's like Jim Henson is doing her voice. It's so strange. And I literally just call her the Muppet. Like, that's just, I like don't actually know her name because she's not our client, you know, she's just married to the client. But I'll be like, so-and-so called and the Muppet said this, and my boss is like, oh, Muppet.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Makes perfect sense.
She seems nice enough, but I can't talk to her.
Oh, that's always the worst part is when they're super nice people. It's like, you're so nice.
Yeah.
But your voice, it just, I cannot do anything but laugh. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm like, can you just email it to me?
Oh my God. Oh,
yeah.
God. Oh.
Oh, yeah. Which one is that?
The lymph nose.
I can't think of which Muppet that is.
I can't remember.
But I know what you're talking about.
right now.
I don't know any of them. It's fine.
It's been a long time.
I don't
Yeah,
know
she sounds like a combination of here's what she sounds like: a Muppet who is going through puberty.
Oh, God.
That's what she sounds like.
I mean, you cannot laugh. I mean, when boys were going through puberty in school and they would start talking and in the middle of it, they'd just go high.
Yeah.
Or super low. I always found that incredibly funny, and I was trying so hard not to laugh because I knew it wasn't the most pleasant thing for them, but you just can't help it. I'm sorry. I'm a flawed human being and I laugh at things.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You gotta laugh what you can laugh at.
Yeah. And this lady's like 40 years old. You'd think that like change and crack too. But like she's like 40. Why is her voice doing that? What are you doing?
My body still gets pimples, and I've been out of puberty for a long time now. So
yeah, I mean I do too, but
there's that.
They just kind of do what they want. I don't think we have much say in it.
Yeah, I mean it's not a terrible acne problem, thankfully, but I do get the occasional pimple in the most horrendous spot I could get it, and when it's least needed, like when I have to look pretty for something, then I'll get a humongous freaking.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Because that's nice.
Yeah,
I'm better
that's
at hiding it with makeup now, but still.
Yeah, I had something that I picked open on my chin like 2 weeks ago, but I must have done it in my sleep, and I woke up with a scab on my face.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no way to cover that up because it's still a rough scab spot.
Yeah, easy
It still looks ridiculous, but it's better now. I mean, it's still there, but it's better.
Yeah, no, and the things you do to yourself in your sleep are the worst.
Oh my God, I know.
Or did you just do unintentionally when you're super focused on something and then you pick on a pimple or something and
scratch it and be like,
oh, blood. Awesome.
Yeah.
I've done that.
Yeah, I touched something and now I'm bleeding, but I was inadvertently touching it for 20 minutes. So that's why I pick my nails a lot. I'm a nail biter, and then I have dry cuticles. So I'll sometimes just be sitting here picking my nails like this. I don't even notice it because it's down like whatever. And then I'll look down and my hand's all bloody. And I'm like, great, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
I always like in the middle of the summer.
Now.
Yeah.
Because reasons.
So someone's saying that we're about at time, I think.
Yeah.
Time?
It's almost dinner time, and that's why.
He's like, "Hey, Mom, it's time."
Yeah. No, the thing is, like, I close my door when I stream to keep the noise to minimum, and I close him inside with me. So he's shut in the room for a while, and he's not a big fan of that. I mean, if the door is open, he won't go anywhere anyway because I'm here.
Right. He just wants the ability to roam.
Yeah.
Or he'll go and check on my mom once or twice, but he
And then come
returns
right
here.
He
But
needs to know there's freedom.
yeah, but if the door is shut, it's suddenly aggressive.
Yeah, my cat wants to check and make sure I'll open the door sometimes. Like, I was just making sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, to be honest, he's a shepherd dog, so they do tend to count people and sheep and stuff.
Yeah.
They need to keep track of everyone, so I do get that, but yeah.
What is he exactly?
White Swiss Shepherd.
A white Swiss Shepherd.
He's very pretty.
It's related with the German Shepherd. I mean, that's how the race evolved. They split from German Shepherds, and the reason why they weren't registered for the pedigree thing in Germany was that during the Second World War, they were prohibited because Hitler decided he needed black and brown dogs because they blended better with the scenery.
Yeah, but that's also kind of ironic, but whatever.
Yes, it is. So they didn't breed them a lot, so they lost a lot of the numbers they had. So they were, because in order to register a breed for a pedigree, you need to have a certain number of specimens.
Yeah.
And they got them in Switzerland, so that's it.
Now he's a Swiss dog.
I know we're having that problem with our two dog breeds here. They're both shepherds. One is a Carpathian Shepherd and the other one is a Meuritic Shepherd. And I feature one in my Christmas story, actually. And I know they were struggling to get enough specimens in Romania to register them. Which sucks, but, well, whatever. If some other country nearby registers them first.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. That's the problem with being in smaller countries. I guess you have a smaller amount of originating dog breeds and stuff.
Yeah.
We only have the two, and I don't think, I mean, I'm not sure, I haven't checked, but I know about 10 years ago they hadn't managed to register them.
I don't know enough about dogs. I don't know enough about cats either.
I know there's a different system to register them. I mean, I know the US doesn't recognize the pedigree system. That I know. Because I know in the US, for example, Ares is considered German Shepherd.
Yeah.
A non-standard German Shepherd, by the way.
Okay. So that's how they classify it, as just non-standard.
Yeah.
Non-standard.
Just German.
The standard is probably
the standard is black and brown.
Like a police dog.
Yeah.
Always gotta be different, America.
They do recognize, I mean, I don't think that you can register them as such, but they do recognize the different shepherd breeds that look like a German Shepherd, but they're not a German Shepherd.
Yeah.
They have the Czechoslovakian one, I think.
Yeah.
And there's this one, whatever. I think they just call them white German Shepherds in the US.
It's possible. I don't know what they call.
I looked them up, and they do have white Swiss Shepherds in the US, but it looks like that's not like something that breeders actually offer for the most part.
Not like a show dog or anything.
Yeah, it's not something that you're going to find a breeder who breeds them.
Yeah, no, because they're not recognized and it doesn't make them any money.
Yeah, well, except that doesn't even matter anymore because of the fucking crossbreed shit. Like, and I'm not a pure breed person anyway, because that does crazy things to their genetics or whatever. So I'm not like saying this is bad. But the whole like crossbreeding to have those like fancy breeds that are really just a mutt.
Oh God, yeah, no.
That's super in, and so I think that's
with all the various types of doodles.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, like a Labradoodle and all that stuff. Those kinds of things. I think that's also a thing with it, is that because you can still sell, if it's going to be a big dog, you can sell it for a lot because it's going to be a big dog that you can train to be a guard dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Designer mutts, basically.
Right. And they're still not, it's not as much as if you got like the pure breed, but they're still pretty pricey.
Yeah. The reason why I got this dog that was a purebred was by coincidence mostly. I decided I wanted a dog. I was in a really bad place in my life. I wasn't doing that great. I was depressed probably. I mean, most surely, but I didn't go get diagnosed because do not. I mean, it's tricky with mental health in Romania because they just get you on medication immediately. So
pretty similar in North America.
Yeah, my condition wasn't that bad that it needed medication. But yeah, I was going to a depressive state, and I decided I wanted a dog. And I thought it would be a great idea because it would force me to get out of bed every day.
Yeah.
It would get me outside and it would cheer me up. And I was right. It's one of the reasons my mother agreed for me to get a dog. Because she's not a fan of having a dog inside. But I was really depressed. So she would have said yes to anything that cheered me up. So I was talking to a friend and she said, "What kind of dog do you want?" And I said, "I want a large one that looks like a wolf." And she said, "Okay, type this in, whitewolves.ro." It was in Romanian, obviously, but that's the meaning of the site name, White Wolves. And I saw these guys, and I was like completely in love.
Yeah.
They wanted them. Plus, I knew if I went to a proper breeder, I'd have a lesser chance of a genetic disease. Like my dog before Ares had dysplasia, hip dysplasia.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up giving her away, not because of the dysplasia, but because I was super busy and she was a Labrador. And Labradors tend to get depressed if you don't give them enough time. So I gave her away to a veterinarian who lived in Hungary. They had a huge house with yard and kids, and I thought she'd be happy there.
Yeah, they need to have a lot of stimulation.
Yes.
Yeah, they need space.
I was living in a house with a garden back then, but she still wasn't getting enough attention for me because I was alone and I needed to work too. So yeah, I wasn't giving her enough attention. That was the problem, basically. And I know I did the right thing at the time, but I'm still not happy that I did it now, even if she's happy and whatever. But yeah, I wanted to avoid another dog with a severe health issue. Not because I couldn't deal with it, because I felt bad for the dog. I really felt bad for her because whenever the weather got cold, it kind of was a bit painful for her. So yeah, I thought if I go to a breeder, there would be less hidden issues with the dog because they had to maintain a certain standard. They were one of the very few authorized breeders for this breed in Romania. So it was a good thing. And yeah, that's why I got him. But basically it was because I really loved the way they looked, like white and big and fluffy. So
yeah, there's one I like that's a big white fluffy one, but I can't think of the name of it right now. But they apparently take a lot of attention, so that won't be happening in the near future.
Yeah, no,
that's part of the reason I have cats is because sometimes I just don't have time to take care of the cats much, and they don't need a whole lot of time all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I work from home.
The one that's currently on my lap is kind of an enigma, but
yeah. No, the thing is, like, I knew I would work from home, so him having enough attention wouldn't be a problem. So otherwise, I would have gotten a dog again.
Yeah.
If I didn't have the time for it. Like even now.
He also just he doesn't seem to be as high energy all the time as a lab.
He's high energy when he goes outside. He's super high
but
energy.
But he can have periods where he's not.
Yeah, when he comes inside, he starts acting like a huge cat. Unless we have guests. I mean, if we have guests, he goes completely insane.
I'm sure.
He's so happy to have people and be petted by everybody, and he wants to be the center.
That's actually how she is too.
Awesome.
The door opens and she's like, "Oh, people came to see me," and I'm like, "Really?"
Yeah. So just an FYI, we've been on for about 2 hours and a half.
Yep.
Yeah, we should probably wrap it up.
Let's check the comments, see if we have anything to reply to. that we've missed. Oh, thank you, Amber. Thank you. If you were talking about Aries, if you were talking about Sarah's cat, well, thank you in her name. Yeah. Oh, and Jazz
everything
has
Dreamer doesn't have in
already
cute, she has an asshole. So
Jazz is already out, left, and I didn't see that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll see you soon, though.
Jazz had to go.
Yeah, at least Trynda said goodbye. Trynda was better at monitoring the chat than I was.
I'm on the ball today. That doesn't happen very often.
Right? Don't count on it.
Oh, yeah. So Amber was talking about both of them. Yeah, awesome. Thank you guys for sticking around for so long with us.
Yeah.
I mean, we love to chat. And we did pretty good at staying on theme. We did talk quite a bit about marketing.
Yeah, I think we did a great job.
I think we're doing way better this year. Like last night on Sarah's channel, again, we stuck to our theme, and
for like half of it.
I think a little over half of it.
We'll go with over half. I'll take 51%.
Yes. And today, I think we did spend about half of the time, or even maybe
I think
more.
we spent more than half today. And like when we changed subjects, it was because somebody in the comments had another question. So
yes, so we did great. So. We're just patting ourselves on the back. So if you're seeing this later and you feel like patting us on the back as well, we'd really appreciate it.
For real.
I did leave links in the description to everyone's channel, so please go pay them a visit and subscribe if you haven't. And Amber, we would love to have you
on next week. That'd be great, Amber.
We would love to have you. We do this every Saturday at the same time, so I will drop a link in the messenger on Facebook for you if you want to join. So yeah, that's perfect. Have a great weekend, everyone. I've already gone through half of it, unfortunately, because I live in the future. But anyway, I still have tomorrow. And we'll see you again next week on Friday at 8 p.m. Central, I want to say.
7 Central.
7 p.m. Central. Oh, God. 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. That's how it goes.
Yep.
Sorry. And then again on my channel on Saturday, same time as today. And on Sunday, you will see the first live stream that I do with Claire on our influence. Yeah, next week on Sunday.
Okay.
We are going to have them every last Sunday of the month, but because she's traveling at the end of January, we moved it closer to now. So yeah, come see us go slowly insane or faster, depending on how everything
whatever
goes.
Speed you decide to go nuts at.
The live stream will be called Descent into Madness, so we're pretty sure we'll go completely crazy at some point.
It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. So yeah, have a great weekend and thanks for being here. And we'll see you soon. Bye.
All right. Bye, everybody.